Coronation Street fans fear a dark future for David and Shona as Jodie's arrival sparks sinister theories. Shona's long-lost sister has only just arrived in Weatherfield, but viewers already sense that something deeply troubling is on the horizon. Coronation Street viewers are no strangers to shocking twists, tragic backstories and slow-burning nightmares disguised as family reunions. But if fan theories are anything to go by, the arrival of Shona Platt's half-sister Jodie could mark the beginning of one of the soap's most unsettling storylines in recent years, one that threatens to tear apart David and Shona's hard-won happiness. Jodie has barely been on the cobbles for a matter of weeks, yet audiences are already convinced that her presence is anything but benign. Subtle clues, unsettling behavior and a growing sense of unease have led fans to believe that David and Shona may be unknowingly inviting horror into their own home. A dramatic entrance amid chaos, Jodie's introduction to the world of Coronation Street was anything but ordinary. She first appeared during the show's ambitious crossover event with Emmerdale, dubbed Corrydale, a high-stakes spectacle that saw residents from Weatherfield and the Dales collide, quite literally, in a terrifying multi-vehicle crash. Amid the twisted wreckage and mounting panic, viewers caught a glimpse of a mysterious woman tied up in the back of a van. It was later revealed to be Jodie. At the time, the van was widely believed to be driven by the notorious Graham Foster, though the show stopped short of confirming this, leaving viewers to piece together the puzzle themselves. As traffic built up around the crash site and emergency services struggled to contain the chaos, Jodie managed to break free and flee. Her escape was short-lived. When she was pursued by DC Kit Green, panic took over and she ran straight into a tree, leaving her injured and shaken, yet alive. From the outset, Jodie was framed as both a victim and an enigma, a woman fleeing something terrifying, but whose full story remained frustratingly out of reach. An awkward reunion in hospital. It wasn't long before fate brought Jodie face to face with Shona and David. All three found themselves admitted to hospital in Houghton after the crash, and Jodie's reaction upon seeing them spoke volumes. Her look of shock, bordering on fear, did not go unnoticed. Later, when the action returned to Weatherfield General, Jodie followed. It was there that she finally made herself known to the couple, revealing to a stunned David that she was Shona's half-sister, a revelation that left him visibly reeling. For Shona, the reunion was deeply emotional. The sister she had left behind all those years ago had suddenly reappeared under the most dramatic of circumstances, reigniting old wounds and unresolved guilt. A sister's guilt and a husband's concern. Despite David's obvious unease, concern for Shona took precedence. When David invited Jodie to stay at number 8, it was a decision born not of trust, but of compassion, a familiar trap for many Weatherfield residents. In scenes aired earlier this week, Shona confronted Jodie after noticing bruises on her wrists. The marks told a silent story, one that Jodie eventually put into words. She claimed she had been trapped in an abusive relationship, explaining both her injuries and her palpable anxiety. Her story seemed to be corroborated when David later found her suffering a panic attack, overwhelmed by a barrage of phone calls and messages. The distress appeared genuine. The fear was raw. For Shona, it all hit painfully close to home. She confided in David about the guilt she has carried for years, guilt over leaving home and promising her sister she would return, a promise she never fulfilled. When Shona finally found the courage to go back, it was too late. Her family had moved on. Jodie was gone. That sense of abandonment has haunted Shona ever since, leaving her desperate to make amends, to protect Jodie now in ways she couldn't before. A promise of safety, and a quiet red flag. Determined to do the right thing, Shona assured Jodie that she would be safe with them. It was a tender moment, one rooted in sisterly love and the hope of redemption. But even then, the show slipped in a moment that would later take on chilling significance. Jodie was seen discreetly throwing away a SIM card. To some, it might have looked like a symbolic act, cutting ties with her abusive past. To others, it was the first unmistakable warning sign that Jodie was hiding more than she was letting on. Harper enters the picture. As the week progressed, Jodie appeared increasingly invested in Shona's newborn daughter, Harper. She seemed genuinely delighted when Shona asked her to visit again, her enthusiasm almost overwhelming, yet it was Friday's episode that truly set alarm bells ringing. As Jodie stood alone in the house, she was seen examining a locket. Inside were photographs of 2 young children. Her expression softened, then hardened, before she abruptly hid the locket upon hearing someone approach. The moment lasted only seconds. But for viewers, it spoke louder than any dialogue. Who were those children? And why the secrecy? Fans pieced together a disturbing puzzle. It didn't take long for Coronation Street fans to take to social media, dissecting every glance and gesture with forensic precision. On Reddit, user 1_reference953 summed up the growing anxiety. So in tonight's episode, Jodie is seen looking at some babies in a locket, but hides it as soon as David comes in and practically breaks her neck to tell him Shusha's made him a vegetarian lasagna for his tea. Do we think Shusha's got some tragic backstory where Shusha's lost these kids in some way and is going to seduce David, then steal Harper? What else could she have rocked up for? The theory struck a nerve. Another user, Saintleson14U, admitted, "I am getting some serious single white female vibes, I won't lie." Others went further. Patient Secret 3565 offered a chilling prediction. "I think Jodie will kidnap Harper." Meanwhile, Plumbobful of Solzal echoed the fear. "I reckon she'll steal the baby once she's well enough to be at home." On X, formerly Twitter, @Louise101050 wrote, "Something is definitely off with Jodie. She was acting strange when Shona was talking about Harper and her tumor. They aren't going to go down the baby snatch route, are they?" #Corrie, a familiar but powerful Coronation Street trope. If these theories prove true, the storyline would tap into one of Coronation Street's most enduring, and emotionally devastating, tropes, the seemingly vulnerable outsider whose trauma masks a far more dangerous obsession. Whether Jodie is grieving lost children, projecting her pain onto Harper, or harboring resentment toward Shona for a childhood abandonment she has never forgiven, viewers are convinced her story is headed somewhere dark. And at the center of it all stand David and Shona, 2 characters who have already endured more than their fair share of tragedy. Trouble brewing at number 8. David, ever the reluctant hero, has opened his home once again, guided by his love for Shona rather than his own instincts. Shona, weighed down by guilt and maternal instinct, may be dangerously blind to the warning signs. If Jodie's intentions are indeed sinister, then the consequences could be catastrophic, not only for Harper, but for the fragile peace David and Shona have fought so hard to build. For now, Coronation Street is playing its cards close to its chest. But one thing is clear. Viewers are watching closely, and they don't trust Jodie one bit. And in Weatherfield, when viewers start sensing danger, it's rarely without reason.